My twin sister fell in love with my husband. She conspired with my family to kill me. She wore my face and imitated my manner, and sat shyly on my bed, waiting to share the night with my husband. My parents even prayed she and my husband would be in perfect harmony and have many sons. When my husband pushed the door open, my sister blushed and stepped forward to undress him. She did not know the man before her was more terrifying than she was. I floated in the air and watched Adrian Vale enter. Blood and dust clung to his armor. After 2 months away, he looked thinner, but sharper and more handsome. My sister Rose saw him, tightened her grip on her skirt. Then, bracing herself, she rose from the bed, walked to Adrian, and said softly, "Your Highness, allow me to undress you and draw your bath." Her voice was almost the same as mine. But we were born with different voices. 7 days ago, when I was close to death, she told me, "Arya, I suffered a lot to change my voice. Does it sound like you now?" Of course it did. Even someone as cautious as Adrian did not notice his wife had been replaced. Adrian spread his arms as he removed his armor. Rose's pale, delicate hands moved to his belt, her face flushing. She had not been born so fair. To match my skin, she took Sandby whitening medicine every day for 2 years and never went into the sun until she became as white as I was. It wasn't only the voice and skin, she copied my expressions and gestures perfectly. She said she had spent 2 full years preparing. She said she would have what she wanted. Adrian lowered his gaze to her. "You changed your incense?" Rose froze for a moment, then answered softly, How does your Highness find the scent?" Adrian frowned. "Heavy. Not as good as before. Change it back." Rose hurried to say, "Yes." Adrian turned toward the bath. Rose followed, eyes bright with joy. She was happy she had not been found out. I did not want to go to the bath. I knew what would happen next. Adrian joined the army at 12. It has been 13 years now. His blood runs hot, and he is unlike most men in bed. I do not know if he had women around him these 2 months, but whenever he was away for long and returned, he was always hard for me to endure. He never cherished me. He even said carelessly, "Your parents sent you to please me. You don't seem to try very hard." Later, Nanny Juan told me to appease him. I listened, and only then did he grow less violent. But the truth is, Rose was the one who was meant to marry him. When Adrian returned to Tiandu from the northern frontier that year, 5 heads hung from his saddle. He told the emperor he had met bandits on the road and cut them down. But anyone could see those heads belonged to the 5 families who impeached the Vale clan. Our Song family was one of them. Because of that impeachment, the Vale family was soaked in blood. Adrian naturally wanted revenge. So the 5 families offered rare jewels and peerless beauties, hoping to calm his anger. Rose Song was the peerless beauty. She feared she would be tortured to death by Adrian. She begged our parents not to send her. They loved her. In the end, they sent me to marry him in her place. Though Rose and I are twins, a fortune teller said one of us would bring ruin to the Songs. Because I was quiet and did not cry at birth, they decided I was the cursed star. They planned to drown me. My mother could not bear it. She threatened them with her life, and I survived. They locked me in the deepest courtyard of the Song Manor with only Nanny Juan to care for me. From then on, the world only knew the cherished eldest daughter of the Songs, Rose. No one knew there was another girl, Arya Song, growing like a weed in a narrow yard. The Songs never gave me a name. Nanny Juan named me. The day she carried me into the small courtyard, the pear tree was in full bloom, the most beautiful she had ever seen. So she called me Uli, Arya, Pear Blossom. Uli, a name that matched a short life. My soul drifted, out of my control, to the bath. Adrian was already in the water, reclining against the edge in the rising steam. Old scars crossed his body, cruel and jagged. Rose flinched when she saw them. She was afraid. I thought it laughable. She had not hesitated at all when she killed me. I floated to Adrian's side and waved a hand before his eyes. I had always been a little afraid of him. But now I hoped he could sense me, or see that Rose was not me. My body was still buried in the Song garden, fed to ants and worms. If he could avenge me for the sake of our 3 years together, I would be grateful. If he would not, then at least dig me up and burn me. I like warmth. I do not want to lie in darkness forever. But he felt nothing. His eyes stayed closed. Rose steadied herself, bit her rosy lip, and prepared to enter the pool. Adrian's eyes opened suddenly and fixed on her. "Why does your highness look at me so?" Rose asked. "I heard you went back to the Psalms while I was away," Adrian said. Rose dropped to her knees at once. "Yes, my mother was ill, so I returned for a few days. I beg your highness's pardon." At the mention of mother, pain stung me again. Once she risked death to let me live. Yet when Rose wanted to be with Adrian, she tricked me into returning home so Rose could poison me. I wanted to ask her why, how she could love me and still kill me. Adrian said after hearing Rose's answer, "If your mother was ill, then it is no matter." I stared. He would never have said such words to me before. On our wedding night, he told me I was a gift from my parents, so I was his completely with no self left. In life I was his. In death I was his. I would bear his grinding and his anger. That night he pinched my face and said coldly, "You may look pitiful, but do not think I will pity you." He said it, and he did it. In 3 years of marriage, apart from the bed, he barely spoke to me. He never allowed me to return home. "Thank you for your highness's kindness," Rose murmured. She rose, came to Adrian's side, and lifted a towel to wipe him. A voice sounded from outside, "Your highness, an urgent summons from the emperor." "I know." Adrian stood and left. Rose watched his retreating back and stamped her foot, hating that the summons had come at the wrong time. Rose returned to the room and twirled with happiness. My former maid, Eve, entered with tea. "Congratulations, my lady, you have fooled his highness." Eve was sent by the Songs 2 years ago after Nanny Juan, who raised me, passed away. I thought it was family affection. Now I know it was early preparation for Rose to replace me. They had planned my death 2 years ago. Rose tugged Eve closer. "Smell me, what scent do you notice?" Eve sniffed carefully. "Only pear, my lady, nothing else." Rose still looked uneasy. Truly, his highness came near me for only a moment and he could tell I used to wear agar wood. I didn't understand either. Adrian had no special talent for incense. How did he catch the difference so quickly? Eve said, "Perhaps the agar wood you used before was too fine, and the scent lingers. If you burn pear incense a few more days, it will be covered." "That makes sense." Rose lit a few more sticks of pear incense, then took out a little straw figure and jabbed it with needles. "Fall into hell, never reincarnate." My name, Arya Song, was written on the doll. The charlatan who taught her must have been useless. She stuck me several times, and I felt nothing at all. After a while she spoke to the doll. "Sister, don't think yourself unlucky. You had his highness for 3 years. When I just saw him, he looked like a god of war, far, far better than that bookish fool father and mother found for me. No, better than any man in the world." After I married Adrian, she could no longer live openly as Rose Song. Our parents sent her to a hidden place and gave her a scholar for a husband. I don't know what became of him, likely killed, like me. She twisted the doll's head. "You should be thanking me. If not for me, how would you have married his highness and enjoyed his person and his glory? Now, everything simply returns to its rightful owner." Once, she feared Adrian and made me take her place. Later, when she saw I had lived a whole year by his side and Adrian was moving step by step toward the center of power, she fell in love with him again. Stopped eating, couldn't sleep, almost went mad. "Eve, how often did his highness share a bed with Arya?" she asked. Eve answered, "Unless away on official duty, his highness almost always spent the night in second lady's rooms." Rose glared at her. "So what? 3 years of favor and still no child. Clearly he only used her to relieve his boredom." She wasn't wrong. Adrian told me not to dream of bearing his child, so I kept taking the medicine. I did not want a child to suffer my fate. Night deepened. Adrian did not return. Rose, sleepy, lay down first and told Eve to wake her when he came. I drifted out and sat on the roof, staring toward the imperial palace. I had heard the emperor was gravely ill. If Adrian was summoned at this hour, it was likely to entrust him with power. When that happened, he would be second only to one. I wondered if he would strike at the Song family. These years he had already been readying his hand. The 5 families, ours among them, thought that rare treasures and beauties could make him forget. How could those compare to the hatred in his heart? The day I returned to the Songs, I had planned to warn them about Adrian's intentions. Before I could speak, they poisoned me. The moon sank, the east grew pale. The sun was about to rise, and I had to retreat to the room. I am a ghost. I fear sunlight. the very sunlight I loved most. Adrian came back at noon. Rose had prepared a whole table of dishes and waited for him. I hid weakly in a corner. I was hungry too. In the half-month before I died, I had little appetite. Anything I ate made me nauseous. When I reached the songhouse, I had not even started the meal before Rose handed me the poisoned wine. So yes, I am a starving ghost. Rose had eaten little these days while waiting anxiously for Adrian. Now that he sat beside her, her appetite returned. But Adrian didn't lift his chopsticks. He watched her, gaze assessing. His fingers rolled lightly, a habit when he was thinking. Had he noticed something? "Why doesn't your highness eat?" Rose asked. Adrian didn't answer that. He said, "You seem to have a good appetite." Rose realized she was acting out of character. She should have been imitating my quiet, gentle manner. She set her chopsticks down and lowered her head. "Forgive me for making your highness laugh," Adrian went on. "I heard you were unwell last month. At the hour of weigh, the imperial physician will come to examine you." Panic flickered in Rose's eyes. She feared the physician would find something. For the outside can be altered, but the inside is hard to change. I too was puzzled. Last month I was still alive, so the one unwell was clearly me. In these 3 years I had been ill a few times, but it was always the Vale family's own physician who treated me. Now he had called for the imperial doctor. Why was he so concerned about my health? Though Rose didn't want the examination, she dared not defy Adrian. She kept asking Eve about my symptoms last month. Eve thought for a moment. Last month, Second Lady had nothing serious. She just had no appetite. Whenever she ate meat, she felt like vomiting. Overall, nothing grave. Rose's face tightened. "What you're saying sounds like pregnancy." I was startled too. How could it be? I had never stopped taking the medicine. Eve tried to comfort her. "Don't worry, my lady. Even if Second Lady was pregnant, it doesn't matter now. She's already dead. There's no proof." Yes, I was already dead. Even if I had conceived, it would have been barely 2 months. Even if my body was dug up, who could tell I had been with child? At the appointed hour, the imperial physician arrived. After taking her pulse, he turned to Adrian. "Your lady is not with child," so he had suspected. The physician continued gently. "Her pulse is steady and calm. She is healthy. If your highness wishes for an heir, it shall likely be this year." Adrian's brow shifted, a shadow faint but real. "Healthy?" "Very." He looked at Rose, then said quietly, "Tomorrow I will accompany her back to the Psalm Manor." Rose blanched. She knew something was wrong, and yet she reassured herself. If Adrian truly suspected, she would already be dead. Morning. The carriage rolled toward the Psalm Manor. I hid in Adrian's shadow. Sunlight burned me otherwise. At the gates, Lord and Lady Song beamed, fawning over him, holding Rose's hand with motherly concern. I watched, numb. My mother never looked at me like that. Even on my wedding day, she wept with joy, not for me, but because Rose would live in luxury while I replaced her. I floated by Lady Song's ear and whispered, "Mother, if I would have traded places willingly, why did you have to kill me?" She could not hear me. She never would. We entered the gardens. I drifted ahead, to the place beneath the blooming vines where they buried me, but the soil was freshly disturbed. My body had been moved. Of course. Cowards. They feared Adrian might dig me up. A breeze rolled across the garden, carrying pear blossoms. A single tree stood in a forgotten courtyard, flowers like moonlight. Adrian turned toward it instinctively. Lady Song rushed to block him. "Nothing to see there, my lord. Just an abandoned courtyard." Rose swooned dramatically. "My lord, the sun is strong. I feel faint." Adrian's gaze lingered on the blossoms, then he turned back. I stared at my parents. They had moved my corpse, but it was still somewhere in this estate, and Adrian would find it. Inside the room, Lady Song sat beside Rose, coaxing her to rest. Lord Song accompanied Adrian to a quiet study for tea. Rose whispered anxiously, "Mother, did that cursed girl truly carry a child?" Lady Song nodded. "We cut her open last night. She was with child." Pain rippled through me, phantom, yet sharp enough to split the soul. So it was true. I had been pregnant. I never thought I could bear a child after years of medicine, yet life still chose me. Only to be torn away before I knew it existed. Rose exhaled in relief. Good thing we acted early. If her belly had shown, I could never have replaced her. Lady Song stroked her hair lovingly. "Now that His Highness favors you, hurry and conceive. With a child of your own, even if he suspects anything, he will tolerate it." Eve added eagerly. We paid the imperial physician handsomely. He said His Highness only asked about the lady's health. Rose's face darkened. He was concerned for her, not for me. Lady Song soothed her again. Arya is dead. From now on, His Highness belongs only to you. Rose smiled dreamily. Mother, I feel so blessed. Blessed. My life had been nothing but sacrifice and death. I drifted out of the room, hollow and lost. Alive, I had no place to belong. Dead, I still could not rest. That night, Rose waited again for Adrian. He did not come. He sat instead in Fenga Pavilion, drinking silently with Dominic. Dominic tried to joke. After such a display today, the court surely believes the Psalms and your highness are one family. A cold smirk, strategy revealed. His visit was a political move, nothing more. I had misunderstood again. He hadn't gone to see me. He went to use them. Dominic noticed Adrian's distraction. My lord, something troubles you? Adrian's voice was low. I dreamt she stood across a river holding a little child. Pear blossoms were falling. I called to her. She ignored me. Dominic chuckled. You miss your wife, nothing more. Adrian's gaze slid away. When my family died, I dreamed the same river. I called. They never answered. Silence. Then, watch the songs. She returned there and suddenly recovered her health. Something is wrong. Dominic bowed and left. I sat across from Adrian, startled. For the first time, I saw sorrow in his eyes. Had he cared? Even a little? Night deepened. Adrian eventually returned to Rose's chambers. She had fallen asleep waiting, smiling like a child clutching stolen sugar. Eve rushed forward to wake her, but Adrian raised a hand. Let her sleep. Rose slept peacefully. I always slept lightly. Fear is a cruel bedfellow. Adrian lay down, brows tense, trapped in nightmares. I remembered so many nights like this. I used to reach to wake him, only for his hands to close around my throat in reflex. Once, when he finally recognized me, he said, Do not touch me when I sleep, I might kill you. I hovered, hesitated, then pressed my forehead to his, as though I could slip into his dream. For a moment, a heartbeat, it felt like he held me. Then nothing. He woke suddenly, arms grasping at empty air. His voice cracked in the dark. Adrian, do not be fooled by her. Even in my death, he stayed disciplined. Even if he once cared, he chained it down with iron. Before dawn, palace bells tolled. The emperor was dead. Tiandu city wept, black banners unfurling across the capital. Adrian became regent. 13 years ago, the boy with shackles on his wrists was exiled to the battlefield. Now he returned crowned in blood, and he began cleansing the 5 great families. 4 perished swiftly. Only the Psalms remained. For now, rumors bloomed in tea houses. The regent spares Song family only because of the lady. They say he never leaves her bed when he's home. Lady Song glowed with pride. Rose pouted, but I haven't seen him in over a month. Perhaps another woman. If there is, we will deal with her. Lady Song smiled. Their joy was a blade pressed to my fading soul. Eve whispered, Your body must have rotted by now, feeding that pear tree. She was right. My feet were turning transparent. I was unraveling. Yet no spirit guide came for me. My tether was unfinished justice. And grief. 2 days later, Adrian finally returned. Rose dressed herself in bright silk, face painted like a spring goddess. Eve murmured, The second lady rarely wore colors like that. Rose snapped, She is dead. I wear what I please. She didn't want to look like me anymore. She wanted to eclipse me completely. Even in death, I cast a shadow she feared. At dusk, Adrian arrived. Midnight robes, golden thread, steel in his eyes, no longer merely a prince, a sovereign in all but name. Rose rushed into his arms. My lord, you're back. He held her lightly. A mask, a performance. Then his brow creased. You have not changed your scent? Panic flickered across Rose's face. I haven't used it since you disapproved. Silence cut sharp. He dined with her, polite, measured, distant, then left without touching her. The moment he was gone, she ripped jade and silk from her body in fury. I have soaked myself in pear incense for months. Why does he still notice? Eve trembled. Perhaps it isn't incense, but body scent. Everyone has their own. Nonsense, we look identical. I drifted to Adrian's study. He stared at a pear, untouched on the table, then whispered to a guard, Tell her I want pear pastries tomorrow, made by her own hands. He remembered. Pear pastries, the small offering I once made him when he returned wounded. He was testing her, and in that moment I knew he hadn't forgotten me. Not completely. Evening fell when Adrian returned. He wore a dark robe embroidered with golden serpents, power and danger woven together. He no longer looked like a noble scion, he looked like a ruler who had waded through blood to reach the throne. Rose rose eagerly to greet him, eyes shining with greedy admiration. "My lord, you've finally returned." She leaned into his chest, soft as silk. Adrian held her waist, a gesture that once would have shattered me. Now it merely felt hollow, distant. A role he played. I'm back." But almost immediately his brow tightened. "Your scent? Still not right." Rose's heartbeat stuttered. She forced a smile. "I swear I stopped using it the day you said." He didn't answer. He simply held her at arm's length, studying her like a puzzle that did not fit. They ate together. She laughed, he nodded. Then he left without touching her. The moment he stepped out, Rose tore off her jewelry and silk in fury. "I reek of pear blossoms. Why does he still say I smell wrong? Eve, are you lying? Do you want your family to die?" Eve dropped to her knees, voice shaking. "I dare not lie to you, my lady." "Then why? Why is it different?" Eve whispered cautiously. "Perhaps scent is more than incense. Some say every person has a fragrance of their own." Rose snarled. "He shouldn't remember her. I'm the one here now. I look just like her." But even if a mirror reflects the face, it cannot steal the soul. And he remembered, not my face, but the quiet scent of pear blossoms I wore when I first dared to hope for tenderness. When Rose received the order to make pear pastries, she panicked visibly. "Why suddenly ask for pear pastries? I've never made them." Eve tried to soothe her. "I recall the second lady making them once." "I know the recipe," Rose snapped. "Write it down. Show me." She worked all night, burning pans, ruining batter, cursing between exhausted breaths. Finally, pale dawn crept in as she produced a tray. Eve tasted one. "It's close. It tastes the same." Rose exhaled, triumphant, and presented them to Adrian. He took a single bite, chewed slowly. His gaze was unreadable. "How does it taste, my lord?" Rose asked softly. He stared at her a long moment, then slowly raised his hand to her throat. His palm curled, tightening. Rose's eyes bulged with terror. "Why? What did I do?" Adrian's voice was a whisper, icy enough to freeze blood. "You are not her. No matter how you mimic, you are not Arya Song." Rose clawed at his wrist, choking. "I am Rose Song, truly. I asked who you are, not what name you stole." She crumpled to the ground as he released her, gasping, trembling. Dominic burst in with guards. "My lord, stay your hand! If you kill her now, we learn nothing." Adrian's knuckles whitened. Slowly, he let go. But his voice remained razor-sharp. "Tell me then, how did you grow frail and sickly, then regain perfect health in only 7 days? And why does your scent, the taste of your pastries, and every quiet habit differ from before?" Rose trembled so violently she could barely speak. Lord and Lady Song were summoned. They performed shock, confusion, indignation. They insisted she was their daughter, that nothing had changed. They didn't lie. Rose was indeed their daughter. They simply omitted one truth, that there had once been two. Arya, hidden, unwanted, traded. Rose, cherished, preserved, returned to the silk-lined cradle. Dominic urged restraint. "My lord, perhaps exhaustion clouds your judgment." Adrian walked into the courtyard alone, moonlight cutting him in silver. I drifted behind him. He stared upward. "Do you recall," he murmured, "the dream I told you of?" Dominic blinked. "The one where you saw the lady and a child across the river of blossoms?" Adrian exhaled slowly. "I think she has died. Once again, I failed to hold on to something precious. Family, siblings, and now her, and perhaps a child." His voice did not crack, but sorrow lived beneath the steel. "Tell me, Dominic, why do people live at all if everything slips away like smoke?" I floated inches from him. I wanted to touch his sleeve, to whisper that I heard him. "But the dead have no breath." Dominic stammered. "My lord, the imperial physician said she's healthy." "Investigate the Song matron's childbirth. Was it one child or twins?" And there it was, the truth he had grasped by instinct alone. But the Songs were careful. Every midwife was gone, disappeared, silenced, or sickened over the years. Only Nanny Wan would have spoken, but she had died peacefully, long before. Or so I once believed. In truth, they killed her to seal the secret. Rose appeared again in my clothing, my hairstyle, my quiet posture, and for the first time Adrian hesitated. She poured tea, voice gentle. "My lord, I prepared this for you." She recited private memories she learned by eavesdropping. She imitated the small gestures I once made. She thought she had fooled him again, but Adrian only asked one question. "On our wedding night, do you remember what I told you?" Rose froze. "It has been so long, my lord, I've forgotten," I remembered, cold fingers on my jaw, a voice like a winter blade. "You may look pitiful, but do not expect pity from me." Adrian's smile now was a dagger. "Think harder, or stay silent until you recall." She fled, shaking. Another guard whispered, "The regent has changed. Before he would have killed first. He doesn't kill her, because now he cares." Love crept in quietly, tea by tea, meal by meal. Love. What a cruel and beautiful lie. My body faded further, my legs were smoke. Soon I would be wind. Adrian ordered his spies to search for unknown corpses in the city. "If her body is not found," he said, "then she still lives." He spoke not as a ruler, but as a man clinging to hope by bloody fingertips. Corpses were uncovered. Women, men, even infants discarded by cruel families. He reviewed them all. None were me. When they passed the shrouds of tiny girls, Adrian paused. The child in the dream was a little girl. I touched my ghostly belly. No warmth, no heartbeat. I had never even dreamed of her. She and I both died unseen in silence. I had lived 20 years, yet left nothing behind, until him, until her. As I was about to leave, thick clouds pressed low over the sky, a storm gathering, heavy and suffocating. My spirit grew fainter. I could see through my own hands. I didn't have much time left. A small regret tugged at me. The ones who killed me still walked free, while I would forever sleep in darkness. But I had no power. I could not become a vengeful ghost like in storybooks. I had no spells, no strength. I couldn't even drift too far from where I died. I refused to hide in Adrian's shadow any longer. So I rose into the sky to look one last time at Tiandu City, a city I had always longed to see, yet never truly saw while I lived. I remembered the last time I saw Adrian alive. He was in a rare, good mood. As I tied his hair, I asked if on my birthday he would let me leave the manor to stroll the city. He said no. But right before he left for campaign, he added softly, "We'll see when I return." I knew then he had relented, and I waited with foolish hope for his return. He never came back in time. Still, it wasn't too late. Let today be my birthday. Today, I, Arya Salm, turned 20. A starving ghost perhaps, but one who has finally seen the world's splendor. I gazed down at Tiandu City, Adrian's city, orderly, prosperous, alive. Suddenly, chaos broke out below. A crippled beggar was clutching Rose Salm's leg, screaming accusations, hatred carved into every line of his face. Rose panicked, ordering guards to drag him away. Adrian, curious, stopped them. The truth spilled out quickly. The crippled beggar was the scholar she once vowed to marry. The year she saw Adrian again and could not forget him, she tried to kill that scholar first. But he survived. He crawled across the land begging until he reached Tiandu City, not even knowing which noble house Rose belonged to. Day after day he searched the streets, and today he found her. And so, the truth began to unravel. Rain poured down in sheets. Rose knelt in the mud before Adrian. "It was I who was meant to marry you. I swear before heaven I do not lie. Arya was born a curse. She did not deserve you. Everything has simply returned to its rightful place. I look exactly like her. I can serve you better than she ever could. You will grow to love me." Adrian stood beneath a black umbrella, expression unreadable. So her name was Arya Song. He crouched to meet Rose's eyes, a chilling smile on his lips. "If you were so eager to serve me, why did you refuse to marry me back then?" She trembled violently. Because you feared death," he finished coldly. "And because what you cannot have, you desire most." Rose's voice broke. "It was supposed to be mine. All of it was mine." Her parents fell to their knees, begging. Adrian asked them quietly, "You could have hidden Arya anywhere in the world. Kept her alive, out of my sight. Why did you choose to kill her?" Her father replied without hesitation, "She was a curse. She deserved death." Her mother added, "If your highness found her, Rose would be sent back. We could not allow that." I listened, and strangely, I did not cry. My father had many children. How could my life matter to him? My mother raised Rose herself. Everyone called Rose a blessing. Of course she chose her. Adrian asked one last question. "Where is her body?" They refused to answer. I knew why. As long as my death was not confirmed, they believed Adrian might spare them. But if he discovered I had died pregnant, no mercy would remain. Suddenly Adrian's expression shifted. He turned sharply toward the Song Manor and spurred his horse. He rode straight to the pear tree. This year, that tree had borne no fruit, not a single one. Adrian dropped his umbrella and began digging with his bare hands. Dominic and the guards dug beside him. Soon, I saw myself. I was not bones yet, I looked almost asleep. Perhaps poison slows decay, but my belly split open brutally as if I were livestock. People turned their faces away, some gagged. Adrian did not flinch. He removed his outer robe, covered my body with it, and lifted me into his arms. Rain fell around us, relentless. I could not tell whether he wept or whether it was only the storm. "My lord," Dominic asked softly, "what do we do with them?" Adrian walked back to Rose. He placed his hand on her throat and crushed it slowly, deliberately. Rose clawed, choked, convulsed, and went still. "The curse has done you a favor," he told her parents. Then to Dominic, "They may live, as long as they do not die." Her parents shrieked, begging for death instead. But I had seen Dominic interrogate assassins, 72 tortures, yet they still breathed by the end. To live like that is worse than hell. The rain passed. Sunlight poured across Tiandu City. I floated beside Adrian and whispered, "Thank you." I asked him to burn me, not bury me in earth again. Of course, he could not hear. He held me tightly, walking further and further away. I called out loudly, "Adrian, if someday you love again, don't frighten her like you did me. Tell her early, all right?" A gust of wind rang a bronze bell under the eaves. Adrian suddenly stopped and turned around sharply, as though sensing me, but he saw nothing. I returned to the pear tree. Blossoms bloomed everywhere. A little girl sat beneath them, waiting. Soft, milky voice, "Mother, I've been waiting for you." I froze. Her brows looked like mine, yet her eyes, like his. Perhaps she was our child, or perhaps she was me, the little girl who once sat under this very tree, waiting for a mother who never came. I smiled, held out my hand. "I'm here. Let's go." She gripped my fingers tightly. "Mother, where are we going?" "The world is wide," I whispered. "Anywhere we wish." Pear blossoms spun like snow. Hand in hand, we reached a river of light. Souls stood in quiet lines along the bank, all walking toward the warmth beyond. We were about to step forward when a voice crossed the water. "Aria song." I turned. Adrian was coming toward us, in the dark robe I loved best, hair tied high, the wind bending around him like a guard of honor. He stopped before me and said gently, "I called you for so long, and you never answered. I was calling the wrong name, Aria. Thank heaven I wasn't too late." I thought he was only dreaming me again, until I saw the soldiers behind him, armor cracked, limbs missing, blood trailing in the current. He had died in battle. He lifted the child into his arms and, as if it had always been this way, took my hand. "Come, our family is waiting." I looked ahead. So many people were waving. Nanny Wan stood there too, arms crossed, crying as she scolded. "Aria, I prayed every day for your long life, and you arrive so soon?" Then I remembered the whisper I'd heard as I died. "Give her a little more time. Her nanny begged the gods for years. Let her see justice done." It wasn't Rose's trick that kept me here. It was Nanny Wan's prayers. "Mother," I said softly. She raised me, named me, taught me to live, prayed for me, waited for me. She was the mother of my life. Nanny Wan cried, then laughed. The wind lifted the pear blossoms. They drifted like white snow. The fields were green, the birds were singing, and the night was clear. "Aria, time to go." So, hand in hand, we walked into the light.